Hey guys, this is your commissioner. I've had some questions about how to use the new Sleeper Fantasy app, so I wanted to go over some things so you guys might be a little bit more aware on how to use it so we don't have to run into some problems later down the road. So I haven't seen a lot of videos online on YouTube on how to use the app since it's updated, so we're just going to go over some of those things right now. So this is the app when you first open it up, and if you're not in any leagues, it should look like this. It's going to ask you if you want to join a league, and you could just join anything you want. You could go play fantasy football over under that does it's kind of like betting, kind of like Prize Picks. So anyways, if you went to fantasy football and you wanted to create a league or find a new league, you could do that, and you could play with random people or whatever, and you have different settings you could add. You want to do a redraft, an auction draft. Let's do an auction draft. PPR, individual defensive players, PPR, classic, and it'll show you the list of all the leagues that are currently open and looking for people to join, and it'll show you how much it is to enter each of those drafts. But if you don't want to do that, you could create a league and start your very own league with whoever you wanted, with your own rules, whatever you wanted. But the three lines in the top left corner are the ones that are going to lead you to everywhere you want to go. So let's start there. So here it has your messages, your leagues, your channels, and at the very bottom here it should have your username and some stuff here at the bottom, some buttons. So let's start with the bottom. We're going to start with my username. So here you can invite friends, see topics that you're involved in, comments that you've asked. You can update your username, phone number, email, password, your notification settings. I like to keep these on for sure during the regular season. If it gets a little too hectic, I guess you can mute whatever ones you wanted. System settings, I really like this dark mode. So you can turn it like that and it all stays light. But I really like the dark mode myself. And then you could ask Sleeper HQ. They have really good customer service. You can ask them, send them any questions you want. They'll help you out. I've sent them a couple questions. And then here is your user picture. Think of this as like your profile picture on Facebook. And that could be anything you want, just like you and your family or whatever you want, just whatever your family picture is. That's your profile picture. So if we leave that, then let's start at the top. So your messages, you can see all, and then you see that plus sign. So if you go to see all, it shows all your messages, invites that you send people, trying to get people to join your league or whatever. Hit your three lines again. You can hit the plus sign and send a message to anybody you want. Three lines again. Let's go down to leagues. So here's your leagues that you're in and your over-under league. I just started that just to try it out. I haven't really done anything with it yet. I'm still messing with it. Your mock drafts, you can practice all your drafts that you want to do. And you could add whatever settings you want to your drafts, and you just draft against computers. Whatever you want to do, just try it out. Practice as much as you want. So like for example, here's a 0 running back strategy I tried. And I took the second overall pick and I tried 0 running back at first. And that would be what a 0 running back league kind of looks like. And you go through and check everybody's, what everyone would pick. You can pick whatever draft position you want. So if you leave here, hit your X at the top left. And if you wanted to start a new one, you could start here, football. And then, like I said, if you hit this little gear in the top right, you can edit all your settings however you want to practice drafting. Snake, auction, PPR, how many teams, time per pick, your roster, whatever you want. So then you leave here with 3 lines at the top. We'll get back to the leagues here in just a second. Down here on your channels, if you hit this little gear next to channels and my feed, you can go in here and select different things to follow. So like, for instance, I'll follow the Bills, Chargers, fantasy football alerts, Q&A, NFL, fantasy footballers. You can click on trending and it tells you some ones to follow. NFL, you can select your teams that you want to follow. Yeah, so you can go through here and get news from anybody you want. So let's go into like the Bills, for example, and it'll tell you the feed from the Buffalo Bills, everything that's happening with them. Go back, you can go to fantasy football alerts and you can get alerts on different things. You can type messages. So let's say Browns announced QB Deshaun Watson's scheduled to start preseason opener versus the Jags on Friday, and you can go in. You can comment, you can talk shit, you can do whatever you want. You can read what everybody's thinking about that. And you can even ask questions, like you go to fantasy football Q&A, and you can read people's questions, help other people out, post question, maybe people message you. So yeah, you go, those are your channels, and you'll get notifications on things that pop up throughout the season. So now let's go to our league. So we'll go to our league. So right now we haven't drafted yet, but there's a draft counter. And then at the very top there's 3 items right under our draft tag, ragtag 307 squad name. There's draft, team, and league. So let's just stay on the draft tab right now. We'll scroll down. You can see the settings that you have posted for the draft. 5 minutes per pick, 16 rounds, CPU auto pick. Friends that you can invite to the league. Right now we're at 9 of 10. Waiting for one more. Scroll down, you can see everybody who's joined. The divisions so far, all of this will be changed and edited. The league settings, you can go through and read the league settings. You can read the scoring settings that have been updated. Recently, the most recent update I did was the reception bonus for running back, wide receiver, and tight end. It's called a tiered PPR league, and it sounds interesting. So yeah, and then if you on the very bottom it says league chat, so you scroll up on your league chat, and then this is where we'll do most of our talk of the league during the regular season. During the off season, I'm sure we'll still use fantasy or Facebook Messenger, but for most of the league, you can do all the same stuff you can do in Messenger. You can post media, GIFs, create a poll, share a draft board. You can do all the same exact stuff. Plus, you can leave voice messages, so you can talk shit via voice message. The pin up top has all of the important stuff that I pinned for our league. And the direct messages leads you back to messages via your direct messages. So then you swipe back down to close that out. Let's go back to the top. Then you click on, next to draft, you click on team. Here is your team. Here's all your upcoming draft picks. And right next to your team picture, you'll see my Wyoming Cowboy and my team name. So I click on that gear next to it, and it brings this up. My team, notifications, co-managers. Let's click on my team. So the Wyoming Cowboy, as I said before, the other picture is your profile picture. This is your team picture. So you could change your team name to be whatever you want. You could change it to be, you know, whatever you want. And then you could change your profile picture to, you know, Danny Dimes. And then everybody's going to see you, and that's what your name is. But for now, I'm leaving it at that. You can choose from library, take photo, whatever you want to do for your team photo. Okay. Here's your keepers. Here's your trade. You can start a trade and your transactions so far. So far, we haven't done anything. Now, next one, draft team. Let's go to league. So your league has everybody in your league, has all the information on your standings, has the waiver money that's available, and your league activity. So far, nothing. We haven't drafted. Next to the league settings is a gear. You click on that gear and it should bring some stuff up. It might look a little different for you since I'm commissioner. It shows you might have less stuff than I do. But I did update the league history. So you can see our league history all the way from ESPN, from all the way from year 1 in 2017. Let's go back. Stat corrections, manage co-owners, draft results, divisions, scoring, roster, playoffs. And these are my settings that I have. I can go in and edit anybody's roster for roster options. I can edit matchup scores, which wouldn't really happen at all. Edit waiver, probably wouldn't happen. Edit lineups, like I said, for roster option. So anyways, go back out. You can see the playoffs, how the playoffs are starting to look. Back to league. Now this is important. So when you swipe right, you get to that main menu. You swipe up, you get your league chat. You swipe the other way, this is where all the fun stuff happens. You can check your trending players. You can see who's available. Obviously, everybody's available right now. The leaders, season ADP, projections, stats. Let's go projections. So these are projections for wide receiver, tight end, defense, flex, whatever. Bottom, you go next one down, you go trade. You can trade whatever you want. You can trade draft picks from any year you want. You can trade fab money at the very bottom. If somebody's low on money from making too many waiver ads during the year, you can offer them a trade and a draft pick for one of their players. You can show interest in another person's draft pick and they could offer you a trade back. We'll exit out of that, but this is where all the trades will happen. You can show your watch list, scores of the game, news, podcasts, which will lead you to the Fantasy Footballers podcast on Spotify, my picks, and this goes back to the over-under. I uploaded $20. I haven't messed with it at all yet, but you can join different contests and we'll try it out. So again, it's going to change once we draft. This board will look a little bit different. But you need to change your profile picture here on the very bottom. That's your profile picture that shows who you are, whatever, your Facebook, whatever. And this is your team picture. So like Zeddy's Monsters has the Titans, Arlo has the Cowboys, I have Wyoming, but Ryan hasn't changed his name. AJ Moe hasn't changed his name. MF Jones hasn't changed his name. D. Rollin hasn't changed his name. Sky Stein hasn't changed his name. And we're still waiting on one more player. So, anyways, I posted this video on here not too long ago explaining the commissioner changed scoring settings for reception, which this is some stuff that I posted to explain how those tiered PPR leagues work. Thought it would be a fun thing to try this year. Always trying to make this league better. I'm still trying to figure out the details for the draft. Hopefully we'll get that figured out shortly. But anyways, I hope this helps some of you guys. Oh, one more thing in the draft room. So this is important. This is the last thing. Go to your draft room, and this will show you this year's draft. I'm going to go to a different league first. So let me go to a different league. This is the Vampire League that I'm doing this as well this year. And see, my profile picture, or my team picture, is different on this league than it is in my other league. So let's go to draft room. This is the draft board for this league. So this is the players you can draft from. You swipe up. It's the same as the messages. You swipe up to draft. This is how you view them. You swipe down to view your board, swipe up to see the players. So let's say you're not able to draft this year because you have to work, something like that. You're not even going to be able to check the board. So the way you want to do things, let's say you only want certain players. You don't want all these players. So you need to tag players that you want. So we're going to tag only players that we want. So let's just say we want these guys. We want all of these guys. I'm just picking people at random just as an example. My other league has some, my queue is pretty deep. So this will help you if you can draft at the league, and it'll help you if you can't draft at the league. So this shows players that you want. So let's go to your queue at the very top. Players, queue, team, and chat. So let's go to queue. So these are all the players I just selected. But let's say I want Cup before I want Chase. So I'm going to select him, and down here at the bottom of the arrows, I'm going to move him up. So I want him before anybody else. Let's say I want Jalen Hurts before Dak Prescott. I'll move him up. Let's say I want Pittman before ETN. I'll move him up. Now this is important because once the time expires on the clock, on the draft clock, where it says 2 minutes per pick on the draft board, it will automatically select the next player on your queue. But if you're at work and you don't want to waste everybody's time at the draft, you already know you're not going to be able to draft. There's a little toggle up here called auto pick. You select that toggle, and as soon as your pick comes around, it'll automatically take the next best player available on your queue, no matter what. So you don't have to wait everyone doesn't have to wait for the time limit to run out. But if you know you are going to draft, leave the toggle off. I've made the time limit long enough where if your phone loses power or something happens, you can go back in with enough time to select your pick. But if you're not sure, leave your auto pick on and it'll select it automatically for you. But if you know for sure you're going to draft, just leave that toggle off. And this explains it. Let's see, right here. CPU will automatically draft the next available player from your queue at the top of your turn. If queue is empty, CPU will pick the next best player given team composition. This will show you your team, everyone's team, and then you can chat on here the same as the league chat. It has a draft chat that you can talk shit to on your draft. But since some people might use this, a lot of people are going to be in our live draft. I'm going to be the only one using the draft board to update it for people who can't be at the draft. So if you can be at the draft, you can use it to check the best players available if you want. But I'll just be updating the draft board at the draft since we're doing a live draft. And then if you're not going to be in town or not going to be able to draft, at that point, you will see it being updated. And when it gets to your turn, you can draft just from the app. So anyways, I think that about explains it. If you have any questions, please hit me up. I'll definitely do my best to try and explain anything I can. Yeah, I can't wait for this year. It's going to be super fun. So, yeah, thanks for listening.